right.
You've given us a little too much credit right off the top here.
All right, so we're going to start with the Sacramento Unified School District teacher strike. This is something that is impacting people in our local community, but it raises the question, do you think teachers are underpaid? And so we'll go through what the teachers are striking about. And in the comments right now, you can weigh in and let us know what you think about teachers' pay right now and how much you'd be willing to give as an increase for those who are educating our youth. So basically right now, the Sacramento Teachers Association has told the school district, Sac Unified, that they will be striking on Wednesday of next week if an agreement's not reached. They want to at least get a 16% raise over the next 3 years. This is what their union is requesting. The district wants to give them an 11% raise. So that's where the discrepancy lies right now. They're preparing for that possible work stoppage by making a full list of the substitutes who can come in. Already more than 1,000 have signed on. So right now we know that they will be paying those substitutes $500 a day. And a lot of parents on the district's website are not happy about this, wondering why they can't come to an agreement. Others are saying, why the discrepancy here, 16 versus 11, is this really worth stopping school for? So I want you guys to weigh in.
Oh my God, is it $500 per day?
$500 per day.
That's standard.
Subs.
I think I was down in Fresno recently, and there was an issue with the going on there, and they're running ads, you know, $500 a day, and people are, you know, that's pretty good money.
Right.
For a sub, you know, these work stoppages generally don't last long, so you may be in for a couple of days, but if you're coming in from out of town, you know, you're crossing a picket line, and it's probably best if you're going to do that you be from out of town, because if you're crossing a picket line with teachers that you know, and you cross the line and you sub, those teachers are not crazy about you going forward because you're a scab. You've crossed the line. So, but that's $500. That's pretty good money per day.
So they're gonna be able to find people in the short term, but you know, for these students, the substitute is not their teacher.
Right.
They will do the best they can. There's curriculum that you can try and keep pace with, but you know, I think we all know that in the middle of this, the teachers are trying to establish themselves. They want what they want. They have a union to represent their interests. But the students will, for a short term, experience disruption for sure. And you have to think about that as well.
Absolutely. And the Sacramento Unified School District's Facebook page has lit up with concerned parents posing questions to them, asking, you know, what can be done in the meantime, if now through Wednesday is going to give them enough time to come to a deal, or if this is in fact going to happen. And the Sacramento Unified School District is kind of sending back a auto response, if you will. They're replying to most of these comments with the same response. So I want to say what that is, because I think it gives you a little insight into where they're coming from.
Right.
They say, thank you for your questions. Last night, the Board of Education waited patiently to hear directly from our teachers who showed up in large numbers to picket outside the meeting. We have live streamed that moment on our page. Unfortunately, only one teacher showed up to address the board directly. The board had hoped for the opportunity to hear directly from and respond to our teachers. So that's what they're saying this morning on their district page.
Well, it's not uncommon to have one person represent the view of the teachers.
Right.
I don't know that 9 or 10 is going to show, oh, we really are passionate. I mean, it would seem that the teachers are passionate about what they want. You send one representative in. That's pretty much standard fare. Everybody kind of knows where they are. No need to get nitpicky about something like this.
Especially if it's a union, right? That representative
absolutely.
From the union.
You send in the person who is best to represent, the best spoken person, the best who can address the board, and I don't know that you need more than that. So, but this is typical when this is typical to come to a work stoppage. This is not. I don't think, you know, at the fault of the union or the district. This happens when you have the district going, look, we only have so much money, and this is the best we can do. And the teachers are like, well, let's find out. And then once you set a date, and now that they've set a date, which is next Wednesday, I think in most cases this is when you get down to the serious negotiations. And it wouldn't shock me if at 10 p.m. next Tuesday they've somehow reached a compromise. 16% is what the teachers want, allegedly. That's according to the district. And then 11% is what's being offered. So Are both sides saying that so that they meet at 13%?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm not in on that, but generally this is how these things go.
Yeah, and you know, the question that came up is because, of course, you mentioned, Rob, substitutes aren't these kids normal teachers, so there will be some sort of disruption in the classroom.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are asking what the requirements are and the qualifications for these teachers coming in to be giving them $500 a day. We have somebody who works in our building who's married to a teacher who says that's about the salary of a normal teacher, and so it's comparable to what these teachers are paid. But I did go through the classification for the job. The emergency teacher is what they're saying that they're recruiting right now for Wednesday stoppage if it gets there. They do need training, education, and experience, 90 semester units of coursework. They've got to have a minimum requirement of the emergency substitute teaching permit, and also the California Commission of Teaching credential. So it's not like anybody can come in and decide that they want to be a substitute teacher. They're not as credentialed as the teachers, but they are trying to make sure that your students get some sort of a comparable education if it should come to that.
So let me give you, this is outdated information a little bit, but I was a substitute teacher for a couple of years after college. Okay. So when I graduated from UC Santa Barbara, I was working at a winery, I was working at a TV station down there. I was doing a bunch of different things before I went off to grad school to study weather. So I was sort of stitching things together as you do post-college. So I had to take the CBEST. I had to have a college degree. I took the CBEST test. I got in with the district. And then you basically get a phone call the night before if you want to work or not. Then there's sort of a secret sub list where the teachers or a school kind of know, I like this person. They know the principal. They know the students. I can expect that the students will be moving along if I have to leave for a week or what have you. So then you sort of are in the loop and you know in advance if there's things going on.
Okay.
But as a substitute teacher, in that moment, years ago, that's my disclaimer. I can tell you right now that I was just trying to maintain discipline.
Right.
I was trying to do the best that I could, but I was not a teacher. I was not a teacher. I was educated. I had qualifications, background check, fingerprints, all that stuff. But to try and shepherd this class, I did elementary school, I did junior high, I did special ed, to try and get them from point A to point B through curriculum and understanding, I was doing my best. But I was more or less kind of making it up as I went along.
Yeah,
and that's
you weren't
just
there
my
all
own
year.
personal experience. That doesn't speak for everybody. There's a lot of districts that have long-term substitutes. They're retired teachers. They're trying to get into teaching, so they're starting with that, and then maybe they're getting their credentials or they're going back to school. So there's a lot of other really qualified, motivated people. But what you get with a substitute teacher is, I would just say, a wide variety of education, background, experience, and motivation, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, it can't ever be quite as up to speed, I would say, when you have a substitute come in who hasn't been there for the 2 months that the school's been going on. You don't know exactly what they've been learning in the weeks leading up to it, but it certainly is, it begs the question, you know, at what point will this stoppage stop if they do decide to go on strike?
I think it's, you know, if the teachers are really cool and they leave behind a little bit of work knowing the substitute.
But do you think they would do that in this case?
I don't know that. I do know that when teachers, because I have 3 kids in the district, and I do know that when the teacher is ill or knows they're going to be gone for a couple of days, they will leave a plan to follow so that the kids can move through having a substitute, and it's not just, you know, killing time, but I know, having been a student, that if you know you're going to have a substitute teacher for a couple of days, it's wreaking havoc time for me. All right, so you know what's going on. These kids are not dumb. They know that their teacher is gone for a couple of days. A bunch of teachers in the school are gone for a couple of days. Let's see what kind of havoc we can wreak here. And that's just how it is. There's no way around that because your regular teacher is not there to monitor you. And as you pointed out, I doubt they're going to leave a plan behind, although it's for the best interests of their students and the class moving forward if the teacher can leave behind a plan for the substitutes. But this could be kind of a bitter, you know, crossing the line, scab, substitute
and maybe almost in a way to say, hey, district, look how much you need us. I'm not going to do you any favors because you really do need us. You can't supply the students with subs forever because they won't be as good as we are. It's kind of, if I were in their shoes, probably how I would feel. But it will be interesting. So you were mentioning, Walt, though, that if there is a work stoppage, does that mean the teachers won't be getting paid and the substitutes would then get that money instead?
That's how these things generally work. If the teachers do not show up to work, they are on strike, it's a work stoppage, they then stop getting paid.
Right.
That people have been asking, well, how can the district afford to pay? Well, yeah, it's coming out of what they would be paying the teachers. It's almost a wash to pay the substitutes $500, and there are also substitutes that are not on any type of vacation plan or anything. It's a straight deal with no benefits.
Right.
So ultimately, that's how it works. You're not going into the hole paying these subs an extra $500 on top of the teachers. The teachers are choosing to not report to work. So that's, how long will the district let this go? Some of the teachers, if this goes on a few days, a week, you start to see some teachers starting to sweat the fact they're not getting a paycheck, and a few will cross, a few more will cross. It's the nature. It's cool to strike for a day or two. I can probably handle that. But if it goes on longer, and this happens, a lot of companies will bleed the strikers. Let's say, we know you can go a few days for the show, but will you be able to do it longer?
So I think this is sort of, this is an indication, I think, of what's going to happen more and more in California, to be honest with you, because how many articles have we read, how many stories have we reported on teacher shortages in places that are very expensive? Yeah. The Bay Area is very expensive. LA is very expensive now. San Diego, I mean, it always has been, but I think it's surprising if you found out how much homes and rent costs in LA now. I think you might be surprised. Yep. San Diego, and now even Sacramento is starting to creep into compared to, say, 3-4 years ago. And the difficulty in managing pay with a situation like this for teachers is teachers have to live there. Yeah. They have to live within a reasonable location to commute to work. And for a lot of these teachers, when you work for the public sector, a lot of times your pay is negotiated well in advance. It's on a regimented schedule. It's negotiated often with the union, and it tries to keep pace with the cost of living. The reality in California is that we've seen things skyrocket, and then all of a sudden you have things like gas tax. You might have a real estate boom in your area. You might have your rent spike by $300-400. There's things that happen not on a regimented scale. So you get this if you live in California, which is boom and bust all the time, and right now we're in a boom, your public contracts cannot often keep pace with the cost of living to that scale. So then occasionally you come to an impasse here. And if this is happening in Sacramento, which would be widely considered one of the more affordable big cities in California, just you wait for a new contract renegotiation for unions in the Bay Area, LA, and some of these other spots. Because I guarantee pay is their #1 issue if they can even pull it off. Right. There's so many teachers that have roommates. And I thought I was done with roommates in college. And here I am, a working professional, 3 to 4 years in a district, I've got tenure, and I still have a roommate. What's going on? Right,
that's the way to do it. So as it sits now, I think the average teacher's salary with health benefits is right around $91,000. So that's not straight salary. I think the straight salary is around 70 plus health benefits on it. Brings the package up to 91. And I think what the teachers want is something that's just shy of 100. Okay. So they're looking for that much of a bump in terms of overall package from 91 to 99. Got it. So, if you are teaching at Sac City Unified and you get that 99, and you're living on the outskirts of town, and this is a drivable city, if you're living in an affordable suburb, let's say you're living in Rancho Cordova, North Highlands, you're living, Galt or something. I mean, you can make that work. You can make that work with housing and certainly in rent. It's not like Los Angeles or San Francisco, where in order to make that $99,000 work, if you're in San Francisco, you're looking at living in Vacaville, or you're certainly looking at Vallejo, and maybe not a very nice place. Yeah,
it's true. Well, we're getting a lot of comments. Before we move on, I want to share some of them with you. Janelle Wheeler said something, and I'm interested to see if other parents out there feel the same way. Janelle says, I won't send my child to school so the district won't get paid. If more kids stay home, I think it'll end sooner. So how do you feel about that?
But will you be marked as truant? I believe that you've got to consider that too. And I've had this discussion with my kids. If you choose to not go to school, not that it's their choice, but if you're marked absent, you don't necessarily want that either.
Alexandria says our government needs to put more funds into our children's schools like they do our state's prisons. So let us know what you think. Keep weighing in. We're going to move on from that topic, but we'll check your comments.
Schools versus prisons. You saved the best for last.
I know.
And now we got to go.
That's another topic for another day, but we'll get back to that one.
Write that one down. Let's get back to that.
Okay.